Hello everybody, my name, the hair, the curves, the rotundness, the gorilla with no concept of personal space. It's just so sexy, but I must wrench my eyes away from it. Welcome to the One and Done discussion. The One and Done refers to that while this is occurring, if I die, I must change heroes and never play the previous one again. If I run out of all of them, then I gotta kind of leave the game in shame, which is a little bit sad. So, the reason this series came about is because I wanted to do a little bit of more solo stuff where I'm actually playing the game, because I do love playing Overwatch. Granted, you know, a lot of the times me playing is akin to putting a fish out of water on a keyboard and hoping that its random slaps do something good with the character, but I try my best. I also want to talk about a lot of topics in Overwatch that I don't think really have any good specific visuals for them and don't really need a full-on presentation video. That Genji, very well played. That was very nice. I don't know if he knew that was going to happen, but I can respect that. I shouldn't have fired, but I was excited to kill Hanzo, you know. I was just very excited. But yeah, I want to talk about topics like patch notes and implications, or ideas I've had, or cool concepts I think that would be cool for the game, but they don't really fit or need a full-on 15-minute presentation, kind of like the Symmetra one. So this is perfect for that. Got him in the end, guys. Don't worry, my McCree skills are definitely laughable, and I also think it'd just be nice to have some lighter content. So imagine Overwatch without ultimates. Initially, the knee-jerk reaction to that is that would just be so much worse. They're awesome, fun, powerful abilities, and yes, they are in a vacuum, but you gotta look at them in terms of their overall implication on a game and how they make it feel to play. Now, I do want to instantly say I am playing devil's advocate here. I do believe that the game is better for having them in, but I also think this is worth considering. So Blizzard in the PTR right now have got 25% reduced ulti charge across the board. They're slowing it down, and I hope this encourages more all-out fights, more point pushing without ultimates, because Overwatch has two main sources of why a team would do well. Number one, how individually good their players are, their aim, their mechanic. And then number two, how well they work together as a team, how in sync they are, how well they combo their abilities and execute strategy. And Overwatch heavily favors the second there. It honestly feels, and I think a lot of you will agree with this, that a team who is incredible on an individual level, they're great at aiming, they know how to use their abilities in the best way blindfolded, if that team went up against a team who were, you know, they're good players, but they could be better, however, they are perfectly in sync, they are hive mind level of good at working together as a team, I think they would win, despite being technically the less skilled at actually using the heroes, if that makes sense. Because to expand on this, how often do you get the hero we need moments in Overwatch without ultis? Let me tell you what I mean. So in LoL or Dota, if somebody farms really well, they play perfectly, they're always in the right place at the right time, and they get really, really strong early on, they carry the game. They basically 1v5 the enemy team and just win because they've done that well. In CS, if you're the last person alive and you clutch and kill all 5 of the enemy team in a 1v5, then you are the hero. How often does that happen in Overwatch without like a sneaky McCree ult? Not very. Yeah, you get like the pro Widowmaker popping off 4 headshots back to back, but it's definitely the exception to the rule. And the reason this happens is the power of the ultimates and how they influence gameplay, the ultimate economy. So how often do you find yourselves in this situation? I call it skirmish limbo. You are seemingly fighting and playing Overwatch for many minutes without any kind of progress happening towards winning the game. You've not gotten the point, and the enemy team's not budged, and you're just kind of throwing yourselves against them. You're occasionally getting a few kills, you're occasionally losing a few people, but for the most part, the game seems to be almost in stasis. Well, why is that happening? Well, it's partly to do with the unorganized nature of random groups, and it's partly to do with the defender's entrenched advantage, but mainly, you're waiting, aren't you? And what are you waiting for? The ultimates. The ultimates are so powerful and game-changing that you find yourselves having situations where you utter the words, "It's pointless going in because we don't have X and Y ultimate up." It's the ultimate economy, making sure that your team has more ultimates than the enemy team, and then you're in a good position. Who wins the fight using the least amount of ultimates? They're in a better position. Always playing in a way to maximize your ultis while minimizing the enemies, because let's be real, how hard is it to defend against 6 ultimates when you have none? Nigh impossible, even if as individuals you're much better than the enemy team, and that's a heavy power skew towards ultimates. Everything is centered about them. Most of the decisions you make as a team probably hinge on an ultimate. Think back to what caused the hate of Genji, what got him nerfed. Games were effectively decided by which Genji got the better ult, and then consequently entire teams were built around making their Genji do better and also shutting down the enemy Genji, and that was because of the power of his ult. And then more recently, you see all the time ultimates themselves define the meta. Currently, people really are all over the Ana ulti. Ana ulting a key target and having them do a lot of work and supporting them in that. Well, what this has done recently is led to a big surge in Roadhog picks, because what does he do? His ulti basically goes, nah, Ana boosted person, you are going to go far away and you are going to stay there until you are no longer a threat. So he's been a increase in pick because his ulti is a good counter for enemy ulti. Into the next game we go, into the next game we fly. I love these Reaper guns, I really do. That was, yeah, a little bit stompy. I may have kind of been a little bit awkwardly AFK at the start of the game because I was having to deal with a thing that I couldn't ignore, and then we come back and we've captured the point, which makes me really feel useful as a team member. They didn't even need me to actually do well, but that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to keep calm and reap on. Oh yes! Alright, back to it. Now, of course, as all things do need it, balance is important here, and heroes like Zarya, heroes like Mei, although she's dropped off recently in pick rate, are picked because of their overall strength. Their kit as a hero is just very strong. It's not really about their ultimate, but a lot of the time, you are choosing lineups and coming up with strategies by fitting ultimates together and how to best make use of them. And this lends a little bit too much predictability to a game of Overwatch. You know that you're going to come out the gates, you're going to fight with the enemy for a bit, for a few minutes, you're going to get your ults, then you're going to have a solid attempted push and try and take the point. You're going to have an ulti battle with the enemy team, and you're hoping that you're going to come out on top through better team play and better skill at using the ult. But that couple of minutes you're just fighting to build the ults, and on the off chance you somehow break through without them, feels almost filler, like it's something you're just doing to pass the time for the good things to happen. Now, and obviously, I do make it sound more boring than I want to, because obviously I love playing the game myself, even in spite of everything I'm saying here, and a lot of the time you are playing different heroes, waiting for different ults, doing different ult strategies. It's not just the same experience, but what does remain constant is that a big thing deciding who wins each game is going to be mainly ultimate usage. And obviously you may be sat there like, well duh, they're hugely powerful abilities, obviously that's what decides each game. And I know that, I'm really just trying to get to grips with why that is, and maybe why potentially it might be bad in the long run. Now don't get me wrong, just playing Overwatch is fun, which is why those waiting for ulti moments don't seem too dull. But at the same time, you're not really doing anything. And granted, you're probably sat there thinking, I've had hundreds of games where we've killed all of the enemy team and pushed the payload or captured an objective without ultimates. Yeah, me too. I totally agree with that. I'm not trying to make out that this entire game is just decided on an exchange of ultimates. No, of course not. But I feel like they just are so powerful and so game-changing that when you and your opponents are of equal skill, it really just becomes all about managing them, which eventually gets a little bit repetitive. If I can draw you back to the LoL and Dota comparison, when you're not fighting the enemy, you're farming, you are warding, you're creating space, you're moving up the map to where your team might need reinforcements, you're trying to read the enemy, you go back to doing some farming for a bit, maybe you go get an item, you maybe go gank someone, you're always doing something. Imagine if in a LoL or Dota game it was 2 minutes of farming, 30 seconds of a fight involving all 10 ultimates. Alright, back to 2 minutes of farming, 30 seconds of a fight involving all 10 ultimates. It would be really predictable and really dull. And in those games, you see fights and big changes and big swings happen constantly with or without ultimates. They tend to be more of a, oh cool, we've got our ultis up for this engagement, that's neat, than a, we need to wait for these four and combo them. Granted, there are some ulti combo strats, but obviously I'm talking generally here. Now granted, Overwatch is a shooter, so you can't just apply the exact same mentality, but you see where I'm going with this. Now, as I said, I'm playing devil's advocate. Design-wise, a shooter like Overwatch needs those minutes of calm, relatively calm, where you're just shooting backwards and forwards and just playing Overwatch against each other before you end up in a team fight. You don't want just constant back-to-back team fights. It would make it really, really hectic. But I do hope that by Blizzard lowering the charge time on ultis, it doesn't encourage teams to just have a longer skirmish limbo. It encourages them to really go for it and try and win without their ultimates more often, because it's going to be too rare when they have them, and they'll run out of time if they only wait for them to be available. But even in pro games, you kind of see this happen. The casters know that nothing's really going to happen until X or Y key ultimate comes online, unless something ridiculous occurs. Oh, I kind of just accepted my fate there. A little bit just accepted my fate. Oh no. There doesn't seem to be that much of a surprise. Oh my god, they're doing this strategy with that. What? I've never seen this before. Oh my god. That doesn't seem to happen too crazily in Overwatch outside of, oh my god, they picked up Bastion. Nobody ever picks Bastion. Oh, what's this crazy team doing? You know, it's the hero picks are where the surprise is, not so much in a sudden twist in strategy or gameplay. It's all about the ultimates. Now, all of this is just what makes Overwatch Overwatch. I'm basically trying to argue why the wall is painted the color the wall is, because it's a deliberate choice. They wanted this lovely calm before the storm being when the ultimates are up. That was how they saw their games of Overwatch going, and that's why they've slowed them down. They want that bigger build-up. They don't want just an instant clash and a little bit later somebody's already got their ultimates. Have you ever had a situation where you've gone, how the hell does he already have his ultimate, as he kills you and 3 other people out of nowhere? They kind of want less of that. They want this flowy, I guess, predictable gameplay, because in itself it is satisfying. If Blizzard do anything right, it's making something that's repetitive, satisfying, and Overwatch really is no different. Now, granted, I wouldn't just want the ultimates removed. Hell, I don't want the ultimates removed. Overwatch is a lot of fun to play despite all this, but if they were to get removed, I would say they would need replacing with a move that is similar, but on the level of a normal skill. So for example, Roadhog, instead of his 6 seconds of boom boom pow knockback, you just press his new ability replacing his ult, he cranks it up still, and instead it just explodes a single burst of scrap, does 100-150 damage, and knocks people fairly far away, just as a single one and done move. McCreel, he loses the ult, and instead he has a move that works similarly, but it only locks on to the person he's looking at and charges a bit slower, so he can more or deliberately focus one person out the fight, and the resulting effect on the game that this would have if you implement it across the board would be a shift in focus to individual skill. The players with the better hero control would generally win. It would make it more like Counter-Strike, because team play is important, yes, but very much it's a battle of which 5 can out-aim the other 5, and that's not necessarily a good thing for Overwatch. I can totally see that, but I did think this was worth, well, honestly, just my ramblings and discussion here. I honestly don't really know where I'm going with this, other than I like that they're making the ultimate charges slower, so hopefully that encourages people to be less reliant on them and doesn't make them just wait longer for their ultimates to do things. I think it will just be healthier for the game to have more meaningful fights and swings in who's winning without relying on a pivotal ultimate. That's really what I want out of this. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it somewhat thought-provoking or anything. I would love a discussion in the comments. Anything you want to add, anything based on what I've said, anything at all like that. I really want to get it going. Okay. How did I get play of the game? What the hell did I do? Oh my god. Oh, I'm sorry if this was a bit hard to follow, but I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize for less, like, intense visuals as usual, but they're really, you know. Either way, my name is Rage. Like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe for more. Oh, goodbye.